What's up, my ninjas? I'm Strident, and I'm back with another quick review. This one is of the Playmates Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2013 Shredder. Now this is the second release. Helmet comes off, reveals his face. I think you can also remove the cape. So these are the differences between this particular Shredder and the ones that you've seen before, because there was a release before this. All in all, it's a solid figure. He's a lot taller than the Turtles, which is pretty cool. So, you know, when you have him standing next to one of the Turtles, you can see that there is a height difference. You know what I'm saying? A definite height difference. Even though you can't really, this is as straight as he can stand up, because his leg, he has a joint to bend, but it's stuck already at a bend, which to me is kind of stupid, but this is as straight as you can stand him up. He's got super large feet. I'm kind of annoyed that they did that, but you know, whatever. But you can see he is taller than Leonardo, which means he's taller than all the rest of them. He's a decent figure. I haven't had a Shredder since the first Shredder that was released by Playmates in the 80s with the original Ninja Turtles line. So I wanted to get one that was standing at least close to upright so that he could actually fight the Turtles, and I actually dig this one. He's pretty close to what I'm asking for. Not perfect, but close. He does look exactly like what you saw in the show. Those giant feet, giant claws. I don't know what the deal is with the giant knives. I mean, he's the Shredder. We get it. You don't have to overdo the design, but you know, they went and overdid the design. I don't know what the thinking was for that, but he looks cool though. I'll give him that. He does look very cool. He looks very much the part. Nice silver plastic, black paint apps on his body, or brownish, dark brown on his body. The cape is a rubbery, purple rubbery plastic. It's not as thick as what we're used to. It's actually a little bit more pliable. Not as much so as the DC Collectibles figures capes, but you know, it's pretty pliable. His helmet is made of the same material as his blades, and it's a very nice helmet. I love that it's actually, you know, 100% on model, because that's one of my issues. Sorry that there for all the dead air. It's one of my issues with a lot of, Jesus Christ. That's one of my issues with a lot of action figures, and Playmates always would make things off model. You know, like, it'd be really simple to keep it on model, but then they would do something to kind of change it for the toy, and you're like, that's not what he looked like in the comics or in the TV show. So, you know, props to them for that. Very simple design, nice swooshy lines. It's very organic in comparison to what we used to have. Before it was a little bit more angular. And then his face, actually let me zoom in this way. His face is pretty jacked up. I mean, look at that. His eye, but it looks just like the animation. I like that. Now the only issue I have is the fact that his eye, see his eye, kind of looks off center, but I guess it's one of those things where if you turn him a certain way, the eye will kind of look accordingly, and will move accordingly, or look like it has moved accordingly. So I won't complain about that. You can't remove the blades. If you can, I don't know how, and I'm not going to try to figure out how. But they look good. I'm not going to complain. The blades look very nice, very menacing. And that's about it. Shoulder blades look really nice. And the shoulder blades themselves are on these hinge joints, so they can get up out the way when you raise his arms up. He does not have swivels in the arms, and I'm going to go through his articulation real quick so you guys can see that. Alright. So, he can move up and down, in and out. See, that's about how far up it can go out when it's out to the side. and this is how far up it goes. You know, hindered because of the shoulder pad. There's no twist except for on his fist itself, like his hand. You can twist at the wrist. Mine is kind of stuck. It's been hot up here, so you can twist that. You see it on the fist here. See that? His leg, same thing. You can go forward this much, go down that much, and this leg can actually straighten out, which is kind of cool. There are lines on the suit, like on the sculpt, that makes you believe that there at one point there probably was a swivel. Actually, move my fingers out the way and point with the pointer. Right there, there were lines. You can kind of see them right there. But no swivel. Instead, he can bend at the knee, almost 90 degrees. No foot articulation or toe articulation or twist at all. And then he has a waist twist. And his head is on a ball joint, I want to say. No, it's not on a ball joint. Head is on a swivel. So his head can swivel like so. And that is all. So, this has been my review of the Shredder from the new Nickelodeon Ninja Turtle series, and it's a good figure. If you haven't had a Shredder, or if you just like Shredder, or if you like the Turtles, you need to have Shredder in your collection. I would pick him up. Also, I'm going to add to that review, you can't really have the Foot Clan and not have a gang of Mousers. You know what I'm saying? Like, they actually did things right with Mousers. So I got a whole bunch of them. This is 2 packs right here. They come in packs of 8. And these little buggers are pretty nice. I like the varieties, you know? And the cool thing here is, I'm gonna bring one out. They're very articulated. Ball joints for their head. They've got a hinge for their mouths. See that? And the legs are articulated as well. Just one point of articulation though. And you can pull them apart for the most part. I don't think you can pull the legs off. Yeah, I can't pull the legs off. But I mean, this is good enough if you want your turtles to look like they just wrecked shop. You got a whole bunch of them. You could just break them up and have the turtles kind of standing triumphantly over broken, you know, Mousers. The other cool thing is, let me put this head back on. If you get the Rat King, he comes with a mouse. So if you have Mousers and you want to recreate that demonstration Baxter Stockman did in the first, the old series, here you go. You got a Mouser eating a mouse. I mean, how cool is that? You know? So yeah, those are the Mousers. They've been sitting here for a long time and I've been dying to review them and get them off my table. So there are the Mousers. Shit, while I'm at it, I may as well just do the Rat King as well because I've been dying to review him too. So without further ado, let's get the Rat King out of here. Here is Han-Natan. I don't know if this is Han-Natan, but that's what he was, who he was in the original. I don't watch the Nickelodeon show. I just felt like this design is pretty awesome. I like the way that he's got mice all over the place. I'm assuming this is like Mickey, his his star mouse. But I mean, you gotta admit, that is a pretty badass, creepy design. I mean, look at that. Pretty damn creepy. And you know, Rat King's always been creepy. The funny thing too is when you get up close on this dude, I mean, look at that. It's like he's blind or something, and his face is deformed, and ugh. Kind of reminds me of Chakan, that old Genesis game. His head is on a ball joint, so he's got the up and down and the side to side as well. But I just love the design. I mean, and look at all the rats that were molded onto his body. That's pretty dope. So this one is a must-have. His articulation is pretty similar to the other, to Shredder. Alright, so let's do his articulation. Man, I just love the sculpt of this character though. But anyway, accessories are this little mouse. Sorry, I just used the bathroom. Hands are kind of wet. Dry them off. And this staff right here, a walking stick. It's kind of pliable, so you got to be careful with it. So that it, come on, dude, seriously. It's pliable, so you got to be careful. You don't want it to get warped. It's got a nice pointed end and a flat end. Articulation is arm moves forward and back. It doesn't have anything stopping it from the full 360, but you don't need to do a full 360 because human joints don't work that way. Up that way. There's no twist at the bicep. There's a twist at the wrist. Twist at the wrist. You can see the joints. He's got ball socket joints for his legs, but there's no twists anywhere, so they can move forward this much, back that much. The hindrance is all on the cloak. Now his whole torso is covered in this cloak, which is kind of cool. It's pretty pliable, so you can get some decent movement out of him, you know. So side to side, they move about that much. So his kicks would all have to be this way, which is kind of ugly. But that's as far apart as his legs can go. And that's it. And I think he does have a swivel under here. Yeah, he does. His legs, his waist turns. And that's it. Head is on a ball socket joint, so you can look down, look up, tilt a little bit, side to side. But I'm assuming he's blind, considering his eyes are all wrapped up like that. But yeah, it's a really cool figure. I saw this design. I never saw the episode in which he probably showed up in first. I only saw the toy in the store, and I was just like, man, I have to pick this guy up. He's pretty cool looking. So that's why I got him. I think he's worth the money if you see him. If you like Ninja Turtles and you know this design appeals to you, he's worth it. It's a nice sculpt. The detail on his little friend is actually really good. He's got like nice red eyes, and I think, yeah, he's all sculpted in white, but let's zoom up on him so you can see little red eyes. It's pretty good, you know. They did a good job, and the paint is nice. I mean, the tail is nicely painted. They did a good job. So this is another figure that you should pick up. All of these were Ninja Turtle figures. They're worth picking up. I'm not a big fan of the new style and the new show. It's a little too kiddie for me, but it's good if you have kids who you want something for them to watch that's not too adult or too, you know, mature or something. So yeah, I would recommend these guys. You get the 4 turtles. They're $8 a piece, or $8.99, so roughly $10 a piece. So that's $40 for the 4. It'll be $60 for all of them, you know, shredder included, you know. And I think that's a decent price as opposed to the NECA Turtles, who are better figures, don't get me wrong, like they're cooler figures in detail and stuff, but they're more expensive. So this is a nice alternative to those. So anyway, on to the next one.